Alright YouTubers, what is happening? We are doing a final review on the Benchmade Mini Freek. A really good knife actually. Really dig it quite a bit. So did a first impressions video on it, liked it then, used it quite a bit, carried it. So we're going to go over some of those things. Just to start out, basic stats: it weighs 2.57 ounces with a blade thickness of 0.104. Your handle thickness is 0.59, so it's a little thicker in the handle. Your length is just over 4 inches, 4.05. With a blade length of 3 inches. Your thinness behind the edge is really good. Got a nice flat grind on this knife that goes up pretty high. It's not quite a full flat, but it's pretty high up. And it's pretty thin behind the edge. 0.0245. So pretty thin. Thinner than the Grizzly Ridge and Mini Crooked River. A couple of size comparisons since we're talking about size. This is a small Ritter grip. So you can see it's slightly longer in the handle. Not by a lot, but enough that it makes it really good. And then the 940, the venerable 940, which is one of my favorite EDC knives. So it's a little smaller than 940 and bigger than the Mini grip. And if you notice the blade shape, this is actually my son's knife. It's got his initials engraved on it, but the blade shapes on the Ritter and the Mini Freek are almost identical. And I feel like since these got discontinued, that's why they did that. They're like, we're going to start using that blade shape. You can see the flat grind is up pretty high on this blade, and it is on this one as well. And these were a well-loved blade shape with the Ritter grips. So glad they went that way. Okay, so there's some comparisons for you. Your build quality on this knife is very good. This one came with perfect centering, no blade play. It's nice and smooth, easy to deploy. You can use the access lock to deploy it, which I'm not a huge fan of opening it like that. That's what thumb studs are for, but it's never moved. It's always had good centering. It's no blade play at all. Very solid. So been very good. This is my fourth Benchmade in a row now that has been really solid. So hopefully they're making a comeback when it comes to their fit and finish. It's got the dual durometer handles. I really like these handles. My first encounter was the Grizzly Ridge, and this one has been just as good. I like it quite a bit. It gives you a nice firm grip. It's very grippy. The one issue with it is you get the problem with getting it out of your pocket, and for some reason the pocket clips they keep giving with these models are the split arrow, which does not work well with this type of handle. You can see I've got a bug out clip on here that works really well. The best clip I still think is the Benchmade deep carry clip. But this one works pretty well, and it's smaller, so it kind of fits the knife a little better. The deep carry comes all the way up here. I like this bug out clip is a good design. It works pretty dang good, a lot better than the split arrow. So with that clip upgrade or change, you can get a very good, you can get it in and out of your pocket without any issues. So it feels great in the hand. You've got good ergonomics. You got this nice thumb ramp with some good jimping right here, very reminiscent of a Spyderco knife. In fact, I've got it on me today, the Sage 5. It's got a very similar thumb ramp to a Sage. And you got that different type of jimping, but similar in a lot of ways. And that's kind of what it reminded me of. It's like, I always loved the Spyderco thumb ramp jimping. It's kind of famous. Same with the, oh, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted the Ritter grip. The Ritter grip has the exact same jimping. So you can see there, these knives are very similar. So I love that they're, kind of doing this design. So, feels great in the hand. Good in all grips, reverse grip, your hammer, and then your traditional, that jimping. It just feels really comfortable. I'll put some footage here in a minute of the knife cutting, and it's very comfortable to use with that jimping. Carries well in the pocket. Let's get a pocket shot before I forget. I'm trying to do these now. This is going to be a little skewed because I have the bug out clip on here, which is a deep carry. The typical split arrow is not going to be deep carry. It's going to carry with a little knife coming out of the pocket. But you can see that's kind of what it was like in the pocket. You can see it still was a little hard to get out. That's because of that this plastic here, right here with the handle. So that's why I like the regular deep carry clip best. But the bug out clip will work as well. So like I said, the split arrow is kind of the same issue I had with the Grizzly Ridge. You just need to get rid of it. Benchmade will send you a new clip. I've got a couple in the mail for them right now. But I had this bug out clip as an extra one laying around, so I grabbed it and put it on there. It works pretty well. It's a fantastic cutter. It's thin behind the edge. It's got almost a full flat grind. It's pretty high flat ground. Does well with any type of things you're going to cut, with food prep, with cordage, with cardboard, whatever. It's definitely an EDC knife. It was designed as an EDC knife, a similar size to the mini grip, just a little bit longer. Could also work well in an outdoor setting, but I would say it's also a very good working man's EDC. My EDC, and I'll probably end up doing a video on this complete subject, is different than a lot of people's, and it's probably the same as a lot of people's also. But there's going to be guys that I work a white collar type job. I work in sales. I'm in an office. And there's guys that work out, outside, and they do lots of harder use stuff for their EDC. And the mini grip, or the mini Freek, would be a great option for that. It's got a nice, durable, strong handle. You're not going to get fatigued if you're using it to cut a lot. It's going to take abuse. If you drop it, if you kind of abuse the knife a little bit more than you would in an office setting, this is going to be a fantastic knife for that. If it gets dirty, if you're just outside doing things that gets, that kind of EDC, this is going to do well for that. Value is pretty good. Here's some competitive options in this neighborhood. The mini grip's going to run you about $95, and it has that crappy plastic handle. This is a much better handle, and I like the blade shape because it's more like the Ritter. The Para 2 and 3 is pretty close in price. The Para 3 being a little bit more expensive. These run about $105, $106. The Para 3 is more like $120, especially with Spyderco's price increase this year. The Delica is pretty similar in size, but it's going to have that FRN handle and not as good as blade steel. So considering those knives that are kind of in the same market, I think with including the Benchmade warranty, which is fantastic, and you're made in the USA, I think the value is pretty good on this. Could it be under $100? Yes, but it's not far off, and I think it's a pretty good value for a Benchmade. So how, basically, what's the X factor? How do I like it? Will this fit into my, personal EDC? I personally like knives with a little bit higher end materials like titanium and carbon fiber. I definitely see the benefit of this handle. I like it. It feels good in the hand. But for what I use my EDC for, it's not really necessary, if that makes sense. It's a little overly grippy, and it's a little thicker in the handle than I like. I like the access lock quite a bit, and this was, like I said, this knife with this flat grind and the thinness behind the edge is a great cutter. But I have a lot of smaller knives this size, and I don't feel like it's going to kick my Master Drop Ferrum Forge Gent or the Mini Arrow or even this Sage 5, which is a little bit bigger, out of my pocket. I really don't think it's going to. And for an outdoors knife, considering an outdoors knife, a harder use EDC, I think the Grizzly Ridge might be, for outdoors is going to be a better option. But that's not really my kind of EDC. I'm not here to pretend like, that I'm doing certain things when that's really not what I do in my life. I don't hard use my knives, and that's not really because I choose not to. It's just because that's my typical everyday life doesn't require it to. So, and I understand there's guys out there that do, and that's great. This would be a great work. That's why I call this a working man's EDC. I think it'd be a great EDC if you have, like smaller knives. You have medium and small hands. It's a better option. If you like, if you're bigger hands, the regular size Freek would be fantastic. So, but overall, a great knife from Benchmade. Again, fit and finish great. No complaints. For my personal EDC, I don't see that it fits anywhere really. That it's going to kick any of those other knives out of my pocket. But overall, just a solid offering from Benchmade this year. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the video on the. Well, actually, let's go ahead. I almost did it again. Let's go ahead and roll in that footage, and then we'll wrap up the video. Stay tuned. Okay, so you can see it just slices through cardboard and cordage and stuff like butter. So it's a great cutter. So I definitely recommend the Mini Freek. Like I said, if you're looking for a harder use EDC knife, something that can take a little more abuse, that you don't mind if the handles get, you know, wet or you know, get dirty, and you're doing kind of more of a, you know, a blue collar type EDC, then I would say that's a, you know, a great option. It'll work for anyone, honestly, but for me, there's other knives that I prefer and like better for that task. But you know, I would love to see this blade shape though, and everything about this in a like micarta handle or carbon fiber or even G10 would be fantastic. This would be, you know, more my type of EDC knife. Again, I like these handles, nothing wrong with them, but you know, for my personal use, that's what I prefer. So maybe if some aftermarket scales start coming out for this in micarta or something, I'd be all over that, because it's a lot like how the mini Ritter in M390, like this one, was so popular, and then you had all these companies start making these, you know, but they had those crappy plastic handles. People started making G10s, people started making, you know, carbon fiber, micarta, and these knives became way more valuable. And that's another reason, like, this is my son's knife, but I use it and carry it too, and you know, it's kind of a duplicate almost, but this has better blades still. So for me, it's a great entry though level knife for Benchmade. I definitely would give it a 2 thumbs up. So all right guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.